The Elden Ring Rivers of Blood Katana. That is what we are talking about in this video. And the Rivers of Blood was one of the greatest weapons in Elden Ring until the developers caught wind, mainly through PvP. There were a lot of complaints regarding this weapon. If you go onto the Fextra Life wiki, you scroll down to the comments and all you'll see is people talking about how great the weapon used to be, how much of a cheese it was to use it, and if you took the Rivers of Blood into a PvP battle and you lost, there was a lot of hate towards you because you was using a meta weapon and still never won the fight. A lot of players used to claim that it's a weapon that requires absolutely no skill to use. It's just a beast when you spam attack, and it eventually got nerfed and nerfed until there was a much better balance for the weapon. It's in no way, shape or form an incredibly overpowered weapon anymore, but at the same time it's not on the other end of the spectrum, and it's not terrible to use. I think the main part of the Rivers of Blood Katana was the Corpse Piler weapon art. And it's incredible. If you look at the gameplay, when I'm destroying the enemies and stuff, you can see just how good it really is, how it slices through the enemies, and it deals bleed damage along the way. But the thing with the Rivers of Blood Katana is it's not just focused on Arcane. Arcane is a stat in the game that's used to work towards bleed builds. In fact, the Rivers of Blood scales a lot better through dexterity than what it does anything else. It's got a D scaling rating for Arcane, and it's got a C for Dexterity. I believe there's also an E in there for Strength as well. So it does scale with those three attributes, but its primary attribute that it scales with is Dexterity, which is surprising for a bleed katana. If you were to load up this game and get the Rivers of Blood, it would not be this powerful straight away. I am rune level 228 in this footage. My stats are very, very high. I've got 50 Arcane, I've got 55 Faith, 39 Intelligence, 35 Dexterity, so the weapon can be even more powerful, and I've also got 45 Strength in there as well. So I've got high stats in the right categories for bleed builds, and also the enemies you see me absolutely ruining in the footage are all very, very low level enemies. Escape Front Ruins is right at the beginning of the game. So in this footage, I'm not showing off any outstanding power or anything like that. It's mainly to show off the weapon art, and just talk about the weapon itself. But even after all the nerfing and balancing, it's still a very powerful weapon that you can put in any build. It's got a low weight, it's only 6.5, it's got a 72 blood loss build up, but not just that, it's fun to use. Which is all that really matters when you're looking at any weapon or piece of gear in any game out there. If you are having fun, it doesn't matter if it's the most meta weapon in the world, or if it's a weapon that absolutely no one uses. I've always tried explaining that when I do build videos and stuff, is not just necessarily about power all the time, it's whatever you're comfortable with. Because when the Rivers of Blood was the absolute meta and everyone was using it, there were players out there, so obviously not everyone, a lot of people were using it, but at the same time there were players out there that were refusing to use the Rivers of Blood because they didn't want meta, and the build they had put together, strength builds, dex builds, faith builds, whichever ones they had put together, they were comfortable with, and they were able to still win fights against the meta. And that happens in any game. You can have a Division 2 shield build that protects you against millions and millions of damage, but someone comes in with a decent build that they are comfortable with and they enjoy, and they are probably going to wipe the floor with you. That's just how it goes. The more comfortable you are with something, the better it's going to perform, regardless of the builds you chuck it in. But the Rivers of Blood is incredibly versatile. You can chuck it into so many different builds and it works. The weapon art's fantastic. It deals very good bleed damage, although that is part of the reason it was nerfed or balanced. So it's not as good as it used to be. But basically, I just wanted to say that I still love this weapon and I wanted to give it a shout out. That's why I've done this video all based on the Rivers of Blood. I'm going to be taking a look at another couple of weapons here and there within Elden Ring, just to give a shout out to some of my favourites from my main time putting over 500 hours in this game back towards the beginning of 2022. And after all this time, the balancing it's been through and people talking about it, then it going quiet and stuff, I still strongly believe that this stands out a lot. My personal opinion, this stands out a lot as a katana in Elden Ring. But that is going to do it for this video. Check out this video if you want to see other content on the channel. I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.